right, folks, welcome. Today we are going to talk about what insurance coverage every New York City rider should have, but most don't. Welcome to our new informative segment of Moto Talks with Mitch and Mel for the law firm of Proner and Proner. I'm your host and fellow rider, Mel Maguyup. And as often as we can, we will sit down with a personal injury expert himself and rider, Mr. Mitch Proner, a personal injury attorney with over 30 years of experience, here to answer your questions or any interesting topics that you might find useful in your personal injury world. How you doing, Mitch?
Pretty good, pretty good. You know, it's funny. I'm practicing law for over 30 years. I think I'm riding for close to 40 years.
Oh, wow.
It's been a while. Anyway, okay. So I'm just going to let it rip right away.
Let's do it.
Basically, here's a story.
Okay.
Most people, when they get motorcycles, most people, not everyone. When I was a kid, I was riding around on mini bikes and dirt bikes, didn't have insurance. I get it. But when you become a responsible adult, hopefully, even if you're irresponsible, but when you become an adult, you get your bike registered, and part of the registration process is you need insurance. Very few people understand an insurance policy. The dealer might help you get insurance. You might have your own broker helps you with insurance. Okay. People call us up after incidents, and one question we definitely ask is, did you have insurance? Now, they might say, doesn't matter. Accident wasn't my fault. I don't want to report it to my insurance carrier. That's not the way it works. Because no matter what happens at the accident scene, that other vehicle might not be insured. Just because you purchase insurance and you get an insurance card and you keep that card in your glove box in your car, it doesn't mean you pay your premiums when they come due. And if you don't pay your premiums, the insurance company can send you a notice saying, we're going to discontinue your coverage. They don't say you have to take that card out of your glove box and tell the cops you didn't pay your insurance. They just send you a revocation. And there's specifics on how they have to do it. It has to be in 10-point font, and there's restrictions in the law. But oftentimes, the other vehicle is uninsured. And on your own coverage, you have uninsured motorist coverage. But in order to avail yourself of that coverage, you have to report it to your carrier.
Okay.
So it makes sense to timely inform the claim to your carrier. But sometimes the rider will say, well, won't my coverage costs go up, my premiums? It might happen.
Yeah.
It might happen. Because the insurance carriers aren't just looking out for claims made. They're looking for how many times you were involved in an accident.
Right.
Even if it's not your fault. And the insurance companies have a centralized information bureau where all claims are reported. So I'll do a deposition, and the other side will ask my client, have you had any previous accidents where you injured the same body parts? And my client says, no. And then they start coming up. Didn't you have a workers' comp claim in 2014 where you injured your ankle? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I did, but I didn't really get injured in the ankle. Well, didn't you go to the doctor? I might have went. How long did you go? I think I went for like 6 months. But then I was all better after that. Well, it would have been better if they just said, yes, I injured my ankle, went to the doctor for 6 months, and that was it. It was fine. But instead, by saying, no, I didn't have any other claims, it's admissible. Because it's a lie. and it's admissible as proof to show you're a liar. So you're always better off disclosing the prior claims. But aside from that, the fallacy that you shouldn't report it to your own carrier is a fallacy. It's not true. You need to report it to your carrier in case the other side has a problem with their insurance. That's number one.
Okay.
Now, number two, okay, we're going to report to your carrier. Tell me about your coverage. I got full coverage. They think that that's the best coverage you've got. What full coverage means is you're covered for not just liability. That means if you injure someone else, you're liable.
Right.
Or if there's a passenger on your bike that gets hurt and they bring a claim against you, liability will pay that.
Okay.
Not just uninsured motorist coverage, which we talked about if the other vehicle doesn't have insured. It also has fire and theft and collision. But it could be the minimum limits. So you could have full coverage and your property damage limit is $5,000.
Yep.
Or you could have a bike that you bought from the dealer and you financed it.
Right.
And so when you finance that bike might have been listed as retail at $17,000, but with your 3-year finance agreement, you might owe $32,000. Now, the bike's on the road. You're not entitled to the money that you owe that finance company. You're just entitled to the value of the bike.
Right.
You take it out of the dealership, the value goes down because it's no longer a new bike, it's a used bike.
Yeah.
That bike that you paid $16,000 for might only be worth $9,000.
Yep.
But you owe $32,000. And you made some payments. So now they say, okay, you owe us $29,000. And you're like, but the accident wasn't my fault. I got hit in the rear. And they say, yeah, well, you still owe us $29,000. And you're like, but the carrier only wants to pay me $9,000. Well, you owe $20,000.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah. But you had full coverage. It wasn't worth very much. One coverage that you could have that will cover the additional finance charges on top of the value of your bike is called gap insurance.
Yep.
And you should inquire, if you finance your bike, you should get gap insurance.
I mean, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I went through that exact situation. My not an accident, but my bike was stolen. But I did that. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm a witness to that.
Yeah, bikes get stolen. Have the gap insurance, covers it. Okay, now the second thing is maybe in that accident where you had the minimum policy, you got full coverage, you broke your leg. Now the other vehicle that hit you, like you, only had a minimum policy. You got big medical bills. Well, those medical bills, you're not getting an additional payment for them while they're being incurred. All they've got is $25,000. So your medical bills could be $60,000. They only have $25,000. Now that $25,000 is all you're going to get. And the lawyer's going to take a third. He's not working for free.
Right.
So you got these medical bills. You're not getting money for your pain and suffering. You're not getting money for your lost earnings. But you got full coverage. You will find that it's probably cheaper to get increased underinsured motorist limits than it
Oh,
does to pay for your full coverage. So if you get uninsured motorist limits of 100 grand,
right.
you could get that 100 grand from your own carrier, even if the other side only has 25.
Oh,
Now you got 100 grand coming in.
yeah. Wow.
You could pay your medical bills and get a new bike. It's better than the full coverage. Now, if you get the full coverage, still try and get the underinsured motorists. Now, the other thing that's interesting is with underinsured motorist coverage and higher limits,
Right.
the additional limits, dollar for dollar, don't cost as much as the lower limits. Because with a claim, it's more likely to be processed within the lower limits. So if you get, let's say, 500,000 or $1 million in coverage,
Right.
$1 million doesn't cost double what the 500,000 cost. It's just a little bit more
Right.
because the claim probably won't go there. So you should get as much underinsured motorist coverage as you could afford.
Okay.
The other thing is, with a car, there's no fault. No fault pays your medical bills up to $50,000 and 80% of your lost earnings up to $2,000 a month within that 50,000. So it's a total of 50. That's the minimum no fault. Covers cars, passengers in cars, pedestrians. It doesn't cover motorcycles. 1978, motorcycles were excluded from the no fault law.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Section 5102 of the insurance law says motorcycles aren't covered under no fault, which means you're not getting money for your medical bills and your lost earnings, not right away and not until you settle your case. And if the other side that hit you only has 25,000, that's all you're getting. Now you might say, well, I want to go against him personally. Yeah, great idea. Except the person riding around with minimum policy probably doesn't have very much money.
Yeah.
And they're probably living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have significant savings. Because if they had significant savings in a house and everything else, they would say, no, I don't want the minimum. I better get at least 100. So the poor person that's riding around living paycheck to paycheck, what good is it if you go to court and you get a judgment against them for $2 million? They can't pay it. They have no money. And it costs money to go through the process, to pay doctors to testify and everything else. It costs money. That money comes out of your share. It's not free. So that 25,000 is going to be the end of your case. So try and get health insurance and underinsured motorist coverage. Underinsured motorist coverage. That's the type of coverage you should be looking to get. Gap insurance if you finance your bike.
Yeah.
And that's my best advice.
Well, I had a quick question though. A lot of people, when they buy the motorcycles, they do upgrades, like upgrade the exhausts,
Great question.
cover. How does that factor in?
Great question. People all the time call me up and I say they did an appraisal on the bike and they say it's worth 12 grand. And they say, 12 grand? My bike's a show bike. It's a show bike. And I'm like, it's a 1972 Sportster. No, it's a show bike. You don't know how much I spent on it.
Yeah.
So here's the best thing you can do. If you have collision and you make upgrades,
okay,
send the receipts and photos to your insurance carrier and say to them, I made these upgrades. I want to be covered for the additional value of my bike.
Oh, okay, nice.
Now, a lot of times the carrier is going to say they'll take into account new pipes. They might add, $50,000 or $500. $500 they might add for your new pipes, right? Because they're used to people changing their exhaust, especially on bikes like Harleys.
Right.
People tend to do it because a lot of bikes are required to meet California emission standards,
yep,
and they run a little bit rich. until you change the pipes and get a fuel card and a heavy breather. And so people make those upgrades. But that doesn't mean you necessarily increase the value of your bike, and you might not get money for that. But if you send in the receipts to your adjuster or to your carrier, you're in a better position. Otherwise, don't expect just because you think it's a show bike, you're going to get the money you deserve after a collision.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Well, Mitch, thank you for answering that specific question. That was amazing, and thanks for answering that really important question. That was really very helpful, even for me personally. Well, there you have it, folks. You heard it from the expert himself, Mitch Proner. Don't forget, if you need our help, give us a call at 24/7 at 1-800-321-1234, where consultations are free and confidential. That'll do it for now, and thank you for taking the time to tune in, whether it's on our podcast or video broadcast. We really do appreciate you taking this time. Please, if you haven't yet, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course, YouTube. Like, share, and please subscribe so you get the latest updates. Now, before we go, Mitch, do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, if you see me or Mel on the road on our bikes, give us a wave, and hopefully you ride safe and keep the wheels down and the shiny part up.
Yeah, wait, is it this? This is the sign, right? I only learned this when you ride by other riders. Is that it? Is that the sign?
I just give this. I just give a little wave. That's all.
Your foot. Okay, I do that too sometimes.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you again, Mitch. Thank you all for checking us out. Remember, we ride just like you. We'll see you next time.
Be well.